So the closest thing that we have to a real-life version of Remick from Sinners is the cult leader Jim Jones. The main difference is that Jim Jones was actually worse. Now, to be clear, I don't think Remick was based on Jim Jones. Instead, I think he's a personification of different concepts mashed together. But in that one scene where they were talking about fellowship and love, it felt very culty, and I just couldn't unsee this. So for anyone who doesn't know, Jim Jones is the reason that we say don't drink the Kool-Aid. He was a cult leader who convinced and coerced over 900 people to drink cyanide-laced Flavor Aid to unalive themselves in 1978. And out of that 900, 300 were children. But that's just the surface level of the story that a lot of people know. When you dig deeper, the similarities between Jim Jones and Remick are very strong. First, they both use the ideas of anti-racism and integration as bait to lure in their victims. Jones created an interracial church in the 1950s when most churches were segregated. He also adopted black children and children of other races and preached racial equality. So about 70% of Jones' followers were black American, with almost half of all of his followers being black women specifically. And they were enticed by the idea of finding community in an otherwise deeply racist society. And in the same way that Remick coveted the black spiritual power of Sammy in the movie, Jones recognized the spiritual power in black churches and set out to appropriate it. He was particularly fixated on Father Divine, a black spiritual and arguably cult leader who created the Peace Mission movement. Jones made multiple trips to visit Father Divine in his church between 1958 and 1965. After Divine died, Jones claimed to be his reincarnation and attempted a hostile takeover of the entire Peace Mission organization. In other words, Jim Jones was a cultural vampire through and through. And later, Jones moved his followers to Guyana, promising a rainbow family free from American racism. In Sinners, Remick tells the juke joint owners that the KKK is coming at dawn to kill them all, offering the chance to turn into vampires as the only escape. And Jones did the same thing in real life, telling his followers that the CIA was coming for them if they did not commit revolutionary suicide, a term he also unsurprisingly appropriated from black activists. And that leads to the most disturbing parallel, which is how they both present coercive suicide as a form of liberation. Remick promises the people in the juke joint pseudo-immortality, fellowship in love, and general freedom through what would essentially amount to suicide for the main characters. And Jones similarly convinced his followers that drinking cyanide was the ultimate form of resistance and freedom from an oppressive world. In both cases, these leaders deceptively reframed death as a way out from struggle and spun a story that changed suicide into salvation. And those who refused or hesitated in Jonestown were ultimately forced to do so at gunpoint, just as Remick's minions attacked those who wouldn't willingly turn. This is all to say that a vampire who feeds on the culture of the oppressed while claiming to save them is not just a movie monster. History shows these predators exist. But even in this video, I could only go into some of the similarities, not all of them, including that Jones was of Irish descent. If you want the full breakdown, just go to my Substack at historycan'thide.substack.com. Or if you're on Instagram, just comment the word newsletter below and you'll get DM'd a link to my Substack profile. Until then, let me know what you think about this analogy in the comments and follow for more.